Our next speaker is Kevin Murphy, who is the Chief Deputy Director of Arkansas's Community Corrections. I think he's here. And Kevin, as I said, is the Chief Deputy Director of Arkansas Community Corrections. Kevin has been involved in corrections for many, many years. He started at the Illinois Department of Corrections. He then retired in September 2010 out of Arkansas Community Corrections and has recently returned in 2013 in this current role. So without further ado, Kevin Murphy.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? Woo, good. Some of you awake, some of you nodding a little bit. Can I ask a question first? Is there any press here? None? Okay. Just this side got that. That's side. Good to see a lot of our partners in here, our friends in here. It's good to be here. I'm so glad I got to follow Heather. A little joke there. I want to start off by telling you a little bit about Community Corrections. For those of you who don't know, Community Corrections is a separate agency from the Department of Corrections. We're only one of 4 states that those agencies are separated. And we think it's a good thing. It may not last long because they're studying consolidation. We may go back forth with them. But I'm going to update a few numbers for you. Currently, in the Department of Correction, we have approximately 16,000 inmates in the system. We have 1,700 waiting in county jails to come into prison. On the community corrections side, we have 1,638 in our 6 facilities. We have 130 backed up in county jails. We're at 101% capacity, which is actually low. Yes. We have 61,700 on parole and probation. Our probation population is skyrocketing right now. Just to give you a little comparison, at January 1st, our probation population was 57,000. So we gained 4,700 in just since January. Now that's both good and bad. Good that judges are using probation more. One of the first things that we'll admit to is we need some sentencing changes in Arkansas. And we, as you know, just went through justice reinvestment or reform of it last year. And that was one area that we didn't get through. In Arkansas, we have a sentencing grid. It's a 10 by 10. And for the majority of our blocks in our sentencing grid, allows the judge to go to prison. It allows offenders to go to prison. And that's different than most states. In most states, it's usually just the top tier. Our agency has 1,450 employees, and those are split between our facilities and our probation. How many of you have an ambulance service in your area? Anybody ever used an ambulance or had to use an ambulance or with a family member? And what's the ambulance do? The ambulance comes gets the patient, right? And the accident has happened, or the injury or the illness has happened. Now, imagine this for a minute. Would you look at that ambulance service and say, why did they prevent that accident? Why didn't they go in and move that pot away from the hot stove? Or why did they move that object the person tripped over? Or why didn't they stop that person from smoking 30 years ago? They wouldn't have cancer. Why didn't they prevent the event of them needing an ambulance? Well, that's silly, isn't it? That's not their responsibility. Well, many times, many groups I talk to, sometimes they look at the corrections department and say, why didn't you stop that? And we're actually the opposite. We're the end result. We're that ambulance in a lot of times. And our goal is similar to the ambulance, is release that patient better than they came in, believe it or not. And we do a lot of things to do that. I'm going to talk about it for just a minute. And one of the things we look at is whose responsibility is it? I'm going to tell you a little bit about my week. I'm just going to tell you the top part of my week. Started with Sunday night, last night. One of our workers in here called me while I was dead asleep and said we had an escape from one of our reentry facilities. And they're inmates, so we had to get our team out and go find them. And we found this individual in a less desirable place with a M16, AR-15 in front of him. This individual had been in prison all his life and was given an opportunity, one of the best programs to succeed in Arkansas. That's our reentry facilities. The best opportunity. We always consider it a gift when we get somebody in there. And I said, why did you blow it? Why did you blow it? And he said, you know, I've been a criminal all my life, 50 years old, and I'm going to be a criminal all my life. It was so sad. That's how the week started. The week so far has been, we've had 3 murders. We've had a very serious, some of you read about, an assault. A lady drove over a police officer and injured him very bad. All these people are on probation and parole. One of the murders you may have read about was a baby that got a lot of head injuries. I won't go into a lot of details, but the baby died. The battery on the police officer is a 23-year-old woman on probation, had 4 kids. She was pregnant with her kids. And she started off by shoplifting that day. And ended the next day, we assisted in catching her, that she will probably spend a lot of years in prison and it will affect her life. Now, a lot of you think, well, you know, you guys are, you know, you're law enforcement, you know, just worry about locking people up. Let me tell you what I think about. I think about those 4 babies at home. And I think about what's going to happen to them. Like, who's going to come around them? Who's going to step beside them? Walk alongside them? Who's going to mentor them? Who's going to take them? Children of incarcerated parents have 11 times higher going to prison themselves. You know, when I started this business a long time ago, a lot of the inmates I had at that time, I ended up seeing their kids in prison. And I'm old enough and I've seen a lot of their grandkids in prison because the cycle's repeating itself. And believe it or not, us being the ambulance service, we don't want that. We want people to succeed. And as I talk to groups, I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on. I don't care. It affects you. Hopefully you care because of that person. You care about their soul. You care about their eternity. You care about their time here on earth. You care about that person. But let's say, I know there are people that don't care about that, but let's look at the economics. You saw some figures on the board a while ago that Heather put. Not quite that, they're actually a bit higher than that in Arkansas. The average stay in the Department of Correction is about 4.5 years. So basically, every time somebody goes to prison, you're spending $100,000. So I have to tell some groups who really don't care about the person, do you want to pay $100,000 for every time you send somebody to prison? And the answer to some of that is yes. The individual that killed a baby this week, what do you do with that person? And the person was, I can't give you a lot of details, but they were high on drugs. So what do you do with the person? Let them go? I talk to some groups that don't believe in prison. They think everybody should be released. But you know, one of the neat things about being this job, I've had hundreds and hundreds of people come to me and say, you guys saved my life.
Right.
And if it wasn't for you, our agency, not me personally, but our agency wouldn't be there. But you know what the best compliment is? You created an eternity for me. Think about it. Because one day we'll see those individuals in heaven. Hopefully. And we plant those seeds. And some of you said, what's that government guy that they're talking about? Faith. And if I had longer, I'd talk to you about Jesus Christ.
Amen. Take your time.
You know, I want to tell you something. You mentioned that I retired from corrections. And I was working for a reentry company. I wanted to try to help people be better while I was on the outside. And God had a different plan for me. And He put me in the path of Governor Hutchinson, who I saw on the campaign trail early on. Early when probably 10 or 15 people were going to his campaign events. And he was talking reentry. And he was talking faith community. And he was talking working together with communities. And God had a plan for me to get back involved. But you know, I was still a little leery. John, you know how politicians are. You know, sometimes they say, this would be shocking to some. Sometimes they say things and then do something different. I know some of you have busted your bubble. So this guy's going around and he's talking about reentry. And I'm drinking a good one. But I've still got that back in my mind. So the day after he gets sworn in, he sees me in the Capitol and he says, okay, I want to get started on this, I want to get started on this, and I want to get started on that. And a lot of those is with the faith community. A lot of it with community action. You know, we have, on our side, community corrections, we have 6 facilities. Just real briefly, one of the things I am proud of, every one of those now are licensed drug and alcohol treatment centers. Every one of them, 100%. We do therapeutic community, we have case management, we look at the individual, not as a group. I always tell people, when I came here, we did herd management. We just, everybody go in this treatment program, everybody, whether you need it or not, you're going in there. And now we look at the individual. We say, Joey, let's look. What does Joey need? Okay. What does John need? And let's try to give them what they need in order to be able to succeed. Department of Correction recidivism rate is 56%. On the community correction side, it's 30%. I don't know what some of you are saying. It's well, you have a person that's not as violent, not necessarily the same sentences. That's not always true. But we take a different approach because we don't have inmates that walk in. We have people that walk in. And we know we're going to have people that walk out. Now, there was one of the things I agreed with Heather on is that you apply services to minimum risk people, and they will come out worse. That's a fact. I mean, you can't argue with it. There's study after study after study, and what it means for dummies like me is you take a person and you treat them like a convict, and that's what they're going to come out as. Okay? Now, another fallacy is that we don't get to pick and choose who comes to prison. A lot of times people think that we do. We take what is sentenced from the judges. And regardless, and I can look at tons of people that walk in and say, why is this person here? But I'm going to tell you something else, and this is going to step on some toes, that I think also is that why did the community let this person get here? And it makes me mad. You know, a lot of times it's easy for us to blame judges, blame prosecutors, and all that, and I get it. I get all that, folks. You know, I talk to prosecutors all the time. One of them I talked to a while back, and I was trying to soften him up and look at some alternatives and things. And he said, guys, what do they elect me as? What's the title they elect me as? Prosecutor. That's what I'm going to do. And that was kind of sad. But, you know, it's kind of like that ambulance. We can't help, we can't affect anything that happened for the person before they got to us. But I'm wondering, where is the person's community? Where is the faith community? Amen. You know, one of the things that really disappoints me, and I am, it just disappoints me, is that we try to go in and help communities work together. There's so many silos of the churches in the community that says, no, we do our own thing. No, we can't work with that church across the street because they're a different denomination. That's sad. And folks, we're going to answer for that one day. You know, I'm just a sinner saved by grace. And there's no difference than me and a lot of guys and women that are inside that facility. You know, they got caught. Police officers was working a different area the night that I could have got caught. Okay? So we've got to challenge ourselves. You know, it's easy to sit there and blame the corrections system, you know, all of what they're doing. Let me tell you. I know she's giving me this. It's either haven't got longer, I've got a steel second. I'm not sure what that sign was. But, our big initiatives this year is employment. We've increased, out of the 61,000, we've increased employment 4% just this year. Now, 4% doesn't sound like a lot, but do your calculators. I can't do it in my head. That's a lot of people now that have full-time employment. We have increased our drug and alcohol for all of our people, inside and outside. We now have in every one of our facilities AA 7 days a week. Always say, if we're going to have a program, we're going to have that program, but I always like the challenge, we're going to backdoor with Jesus. Okay? Our housing, we've increased the housing. Mental health. I am so proud of the governor for the 4 crisis stabilization units that can catch these people before they reach us. A lot of these folks don't need to be in prison. They need help, and they need help in the community. You know, just the things that we're doing in our reentry centers, to where we're bringing people out way before it's their release date and running through a 6-month program to help them in the community get back on their feet before their release date. Novel idea. The $100 in your pocket and pushing them out the door ain't working too well. Duh, it's not $6. But you know, everybody can sit there and says, man, corrections ought to be doing this, corrections ought to be doing that. Let me tell you something. July 1st was my new fiscal year. I started off day one, $3.1 billion in the hole. Our caseloads are well over 100 per person. Where parole officers, every day they go in and they fight fires. So my question is what are you doing? What are you doing in the community? What is your church doing? What is your group doing to be able to walk alongside these men and women and help them? I love what he said about entry versus reentry. You're exactly right. Some of them don't need to re-enter where they came from. They need a fresh start. You know, as a prison warden, I used to walk around my visitation all day, and some of the guys would love me to introduce their parents or their family to me. And guys, I walked away many times saying they locked up the wrong person. You know what I mean? You know, we need a fresh start for a lot of these people. You know, I know my time is limited, so, you know, we've got to ask, what interventions are we doing? You know, we're really trying to push alternative sentencing to where we use education, we use treatment, we use colleges, universities, vocational. You guys have one of the best vocational schools in the state up here. Giving guys a chance to say, here's some resources that we want to wrap around you, and give you another chance. And give you another chance to make it and succeed. We need you folks. We can't do it on our own. I mean, how many government agencies have you ever said, how well is the IRS doing, by the way? How well is Social Security doing? Get what I mean? We need help, and we need partners in the community. I'm going to close with this. I talk about Nick a lot behind his back. I talk about returning home as one of the models in the country, is what we need to emulate all across our state. A public-private partnership, primarily from the private and primarily from the faith community. Guys, that's it. You guys have hit a home run with that. Now, I have sent a lot of people up to look at returning homes. I'm not sure if they've all made it, because that's what we want to do in other communities. Because you've hit the home run here. You've got the people in, but we need that all over the state. So thank you very much for letting me come. You may not invite me back again, but I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing in the community. Thank you.